if you want to become somebody who runs their own business, then you must be willing to deal with failure. Do something out of the norm at least once a month. Best thing for an entrepreneur, being able to listen to what a client is saying and be able to realize what the client needs and sell it to them. Welcome to the Ethel Cofie Startup School. My name is Ethel Cofie. And if you're new to the show, and this is the first time you're watching the Ethel Cofie Startup School, you're welcome. We always love having new people come on board. And if you are a veteran and you have been every week, week in and week out, and you've done 14, 15 weeks with us now, thank you for being part of us. And you are also welcome. For the newbies, let me just tell you a little bit about what we are not. And then I will tell you a little bit about what we are. So the Ethel Cofie Startup School is not a motivational program. It is not to feel good. We will make, entrepreneurship is easy. Just think positive. It will all work out. That's not what we are here for. We are here to practice. It's a practical, as you were, MBA in how to build and scale your business. So we're here to tell you how difficult it is, what to do when you have those difficulties, and how to survive and thrive while building your business. So you're welcome. We're not here to motivate you. We're here to tell you practically how to get as far as you can. Now, take a moment, if there's anybody that you think that is either an entrepreneur or wants to become an entrepreneur, or thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, that friend that you have is always talking about their business ideas, take a moment to either comment their names in the link of the video, of the live video right now, or take a moment to either to share it in your timeline so that other people can enjoy the wonderful entrepreneurial content you're about to share. So you'll be the cool person that brings all the good content to your friends. So take a minute to do that. Thank you for doing that. As we do every week, if you're returning, you'll know we give away a book. And I love the Harvard Business Review books. So this week I am giving away another Harvard Business Review book, which is HBR 10 must-reads on emotional intelligence. So this month we've been talking about sales, right? And emotional intelligence is of the utmost importance when you're doing sales. The ability to figure out what someone is thinking, what their real motives are, to read in between the lines, and you can quickly and simply, find out. So I'm giving away the HBR book. Now, what will happen is, if you listen through from the beginning through to the end of the program, I will ask one specific question. And the person that answers that specific question, the first person that answers that specific question, will then will be invited to then pick up the book from the Pulse Ghana offices or the Ringgit offices in Accra. If you're not in Accra, Ghana, yeah. So that's not the book. The book giveaway is not for you. Maybe we'll dream up something for those that are not. Maybe we'll find a PDF version to send, but. The book giveaway specifically for those in Ghana. So this month we've been talking your sales weaponry, right? So we talked about digital sales, we talked about face-to-face sales, referral sales, and we got through quite a bit last week. I think we rushed it in the end, but we got through quite a bit last week. And usually what comes after this, sort of once you start the process of sales, is the sales objections. So this week, I wanted to talk about dealing with sales objections. So you've done all, your sales arsenal. So you've run an email campaign. You've gotten a meeting with your dream client, and you get in front of that dream client, and you have your presentation, and you're dressed smart or you're dressed, and you talk your presentation, and then they go. Effectively deal with the sales objections. I'm going to start by talking about just a general framework, and then I'm going to pick specific sales objections. There are a few that we deal with, right? There are specific sales objections and how you could possibly deal with it. So stay tuned. It's half an hour of goodness, entrepreneurial goodness. We'll be talking about sales. Okay, so the first rule in dealing with sales objections is understand your customer or your potential customer's real concerns. Don't brush it aside. Try to understand what they're saying to you, right? So, first of all, why are they objecting and why are they bringing it up at this time? It could be that you're talking to somebody who doesn't have the authority to decide the sale, right? And so, or you're talking to somebody that might have a perception problem with your product. But you need to understand, sometimes you get, oh, we're not buying now. And maybe that's not actually what they mean, right? What actually they mean is maybe we don't have money, or maybe we're not buying from you, right? Which is also a very specific thing. But you have to ask open-ended questions that don't require a yes or no. So, tell me a little bit about your sales process. Tell me a little bit about this problem you're having. Allow the potential client to talk. The more they talk, the more they will give you information, the more you will understand. There was a client I was talking to, was it this year, somewhere halfway this year, early on this year. And we kept having the meetings going back and forth. And they were still not making the commitment. So I wondered, I finally got the IT manager on the side and said, look, really tell me, you seem to have this problem. It seems that you want the sale. You want to make, you want to buy it, but what's going, what's the problem? Why, and then he, in the conversation, it came out that, look, there is someone who owns an IT company who's on the board of the company. So it wouldn't make sense to give the project to someone else. You see, I had to have conversations to understand this. So I was getting the, come back next week or let's talk about it. And then, you have to drill down and try and understand why they are objecting, so that once you get that, it will give you a clear direction on the sale. So ask a lot of open-ended questions, right? So don't just take a no as a no. I think with sales, ask questions, ask open-ended questions, try and understand the real concern. It could be that, the person who you're talking to likes the product, wants to buy the product, but he knows he cannot convince, or she cannot convince his boss to buy, or her boss to buy. So they're telling you, oh no, we're not ready to buy. The more you ask questions, the more that these things will come up in the conversation. And then also, don't dismiss. So validate and acknowledge your prospect's concerns. Don't dismiss the sales objections of your potential clients. Sometimes you're in a meeting and they say, oh, but we like this, but, and you kind of dismiss what they are saying. Don't do that. Have empathy. Try to understand it from their perspective. Try and sit in the shoes of your customer, right? Try and be in the shoes of your customer, so that you have a little bit more empathy and understanding, and even just acknowledging the nature of their problem will make them, like you better. Ask them why. Ask why questions. Ask a lot of why questions, because that will get you to the root of the objection. Okay. Also, never answer a question without understanding the context, right? So how much is it? Right, talk about value. Give them any objection that they have. Try and get the context around it before you try and answer. Try and get, why are you asking this specific question? How is that specifically related to you? So that you can get you can get more context before you answer a question. And once you are sure you understand what the objection is, respond properly, correctly, clearly, and respond once. Don't be desperate, right? Like, answer it once, try and deal with it effectively once, and close it off so that they understand, and we'll talk about the potential ones down the line. So, understand the real concern. So we've talked about, I've given you a little framework. First of all, understand the concerns, have empathy for the client. Never answer a question without understanding context, and then respond only when you are sure you have context. Don't try and speak over them, right? Don't try and speak over them quickly. Like somebody's saying something, you're waiting for your turn, but answering the question quickly. No. Be clear on what the objection is and the context of the objection, then you answer them. All right, so I'll talk about specific objections. There are quite a few. I have about 50, but we won't get through 50. So maybe we might get to about 10, 15, 20. And we'll take it from there. Right? So there are lots of objections. So I've categorized them a little bit. So objections around price and budget. That's a big sort of overview, right? I get this quite a lot. It's too expensive. That's one big, every salesperson, every entrepreneur gets this. Your product is too expensive. Here's the thing to do when you are sitting in a sales meeting and somebody says you're too expensive. Don't start to have the argument on price or try to solve the objection on price. Try to solve it on value. So for instance, if I'm sitting in a sales meeting selling IT consulting, maybe a digital sales strategy to maybe a bank, and then they say, oh, but maybe I say my daily rate is $1,000. No, you're too expensive. My response would be, when I put together your digital, your e-strategy or digital strategy, it will save you wasting $10,000 over the year on projects that don't work. I'm bringing you value to ensure that all the projects you do build will effectively increase your sales by X percentage, right? So I'm not dwelling on price. So I'm talking about the value that I bring. So every time somebody's talking about price, don't start arguing on price, because there's always somebody who's cheaper than you. There's always somebody who's cheaper than you. Whichever business you do, there's always, in fact, if you're selling it for $1, somebody's giving it away for free. Please, don't argue on price. Argue on, deal with the sales objection on value, okay? So start talking about value. So when you get that in a sales meeting, quantify the value that you bring so that the person can understand, why I'm paying this amount, but I'm getting more. Okay, there's one where or the sales objection will say there's no money. Oh, it could be a valid point that we don't have the budget or there's no money for it. It could be a valid point, or it could be that they're trying to give you a run around, right? So they're trying to just get you to go away. And so the simplest thing is to say, nah, there's no money, right? Now, what you could do is ask a few more questions, and if you do find out they really don't have the budget, fine, go back, but keep in contact and track the growth of the company, right? Because that's still a potential sale. So track the growth of the company. Maybe track them and see where over time they will get to where you think that they might be able to afford your products. So don't just, when they say no, don't just go away. Keep track of the growth of the company. Then there's a third one, which is we don't have any budget left this year, which is, if you do B2B like me, you will usually get maybe the COO or the IT manager or the CEO saying, look, my budget for IT spend is finished, right? Maybe it usually happens at this time of the year. So we're in October, November. It's winding down to the end of the year. I've spent all my budget, my allocated budget as a company. Find out if the problem you're solving for them is indeed a pressing problem, and try and see if you can secure the budget for next year, right? So not just, oh, I'll come back next year. Because if you come back next year, maybe somebody else has already secured, you know, that thing that you want to sell. So maybe have a conversation and say, look, if you can commit to, if you really want this project, if you can commit in writing this year for us to maybe start billing you next year, maybe we can throw in some discounts, or we can even start the project ahead. Do you get it? So that way you lock in a potential project rather than, okay, we understand your budget is finished, let's come back next year and talk to you. That happens a lot to sponsorship people too. So if you are looking for sponsorship, oh, our sponsorship, we've exhausted our sponsorship. Okay, good. So we'll be doing this event again next year. And so are you willing to commit to being a next year sponsor, right? So secure something before you walk out. And then there's a variation of that. There's no money, like we said. We don't have money, or there's no money at the moment. It's variation of the budget thing. Or I don't want to get stuck